Hello, how's it going? This is Moody Alshehaby, and this is our second video of our Adobe After Effect course from scratch. In our first video, we talked about compositions and interface. We talked about how to set your composition size, your frame per second rate, your virtual background, duration, and your preview resolution. As well as we talked about how to import your files, how to get your files inside the timeline, the menu bar, panels, our preview window, and how to set your program interface to your favor. Today in our second video, we'll go in more details about animation and keyframes. Without any further ado, let's start. I will start and open my program. I will create a new composition. I will name it CE logo. We've talked about the rest of the preset in our first video. Our first part of this video will be about compositions. Second part will be about animation and keyframes. You can jump directly to the second part if you wish so, starting at the time shown in the screen. Also, you can find the time schedule for this video in the description below. Well, now how to edit your composition. How to come back and change anything in your preset. From those three lines here, open this menu. Here you have the option to close this panel. And if you did so and you want to bring it back, just go back to Window, Workspace, and reset it to Favorite. Second option is Unlock Panel. If you want to release this panel and move it all over your program. Now it's released. Then our most used option from this window, Composition Setting. If you want to change anything, such as name, size, duration, go ahead then hit OK. The rest of this menu won't be used much for now. Let me reset my workspace area first. From inside the timeline, you can right click and go up to New, and you will find another menu. First option is Text. If you want to write something, the program already selected the type tool and got it ready for you to use. You can start your writing, and after you finish, just double click on your words to select them all, and from the character panel you can start editing. You can change your font. Let's make it Arial, not italic. And you also have the option to change your color, just like all Adobe programs. I will leave it white. Here you can change your size. You can just click in here and put the value you want, or open the drop menu and also choose the figure you want. Or with your mouse, like you see here, you have two small arrows right and left. Just click and move to the right to increase, and move to the left to decrease. We're gonna use this way of increasing and decreasing most of the time in After Effects. Second option here is Solid. If you want to create a background for your video, like we mentioned in our first video, this black background here is virtual, doesn't actually exist. If you need a background for your video, you have to make it from here, from New Solid. Now you have the color option, and whichever color you're gonna select, you're gonna see its name here. You can also choose the size. Let's change the color. Let's get a red one. You will find the name, change it here accordingly. Then hit OK. Now we've got our background, but where's our words? Like we mentioned before, After Effects deals with the layer concept. From this eye, you can hide the layer, or you can click and drag the layer to the bottom to rearrange them. Our third option here is Light. We'll use this more in our 3D, but we're gonna try it. Spotlight 1, Light Type Spot, White Color, then click OK. The program here said that the light option doesn't work with 2D, only with 3D like we mentioned, but click OK anyway for now. Here's your light, but you still cannot see anything because it works only on a 3D. So all you have to do is select the layer that you want to drop the light on. Then from this cube icon here, just activate the checkbox here to convert it to a 3D layer. Now you start to see your light. We will talk about this more in our 3D video. Fourth option here is Camera. Name your camera layer if you want to. And here you have a preset for your lenses. starts from 15mm and up to 200. So we're gonna talk more about camera in details in the camera video. Next option here is the null object, and it also works with camera and animation. So we'll keep this to the camera video. And the rest of the option won't be much used for now. So from this window here, you can close the timeline panel, or you can unlock it to release it from the background, or you can change the composition setting. Right click inside the timeline, and you have multiple options here for new text layer, new background or solid, new light, new camera, and also new null object. Now I'm gonna delete all those layers. If you want to delete something from the timeline, select it and press delete from the keyboard, or just with your mouse select them all and press delete. Now I'm gonna import some files, different types of files, audios, videos, and AI open file too. To import your files, double click inside this panel, or go to File, Import, or just Ctrl I. Those are my items for today. I will select everything except the AI file. I want to import it in a different way. Here I have 3 audios and 3 videos. Once you select any item, you can see the info of this item in the top here. Now to import the AI file. The reason I want to import this solo is for me to get this window. This is an open layer file. Now we want to import this as a picture or as a composition. If you chose footage, you have the option to merge everything inside this file and import it as a single picture. Or you can choose one layer inside the file. And here comes again the importance of naming your layers as you're working. If you open the menu here, you can see all your layers. And if you want to import the entire file with all its layers, go with the composition option. Here I have the composition, and another folder contains all the layers inside this file. Once you select your layer, you can see whatever inside from the project info on the top. I'm gonna create a new folder for each category. Audio file. Select all your audios files and drag them inside this folder. Another folder for the videos, and drag your videos inside. Now you organize your work in folders. Now to add your logo inside your timeline, you can select one layer and drag it inside the timeline. Or if you want the entire file, you can just double click on the composition and you will get the whole file into your timeline. Like we mentioned in our first video, with the mouse scroll, you can increase or decrease the size of your preview. Now you can see the same way I had this file inside my Adobe Illustrator program, I got it in here too. The same hidden layers, the same shown layers, and the same concept. I will open this a little bit to see the whole names. You can select your logo, and with the selection tool you can move your logo around. To reset it to original place, press on Ctrl Z, or open that small arrow beside the layer and choose Reset. Now to our second part in this video, animation and keyframes. We're gonna talk more about the transform options, and that's how we control the animation. First option here is the anchor point. Here it's already centered. With the anchor point tool and shortcut Y, select your anchor point and place it wherever you want, depends on your animation goal. We will see this in details in our animation. Second option is position. With this option, you can control the place of your logo or your item. You can move it right or left or up and down. You see the stopwatch icon beside this option? Wherever you see this icon, that means you can make animation with this option. That's where you create your keyframes. Once you click on it, it will create a keyframe for you. Also, the keyframe will be added to your timeline. But why the program added the keyframe at this point here? That's because you had your timeline indicator in here. The program adds the keyframes wherever your timeline indicator is. Now if you want to start an animation using this position option, move your timeline indicator a few seconds further. I'm holding the spacebar here just to move my composition to the right side a bit. Now hold your logo and move it to outside the composition, holding the shift key to stay on the same line. Now you've got your second keyframe. To see your animation, move your timeline indicator to the beginning and hit the spacebar. To increase the time of your animation, all you have to do is to move the second keyframe further. Play it again. Now it's slower. What if you want the logo to come from outside the composition to the inside? To reverse it, let's delete our keyframes first. To delete them, just select them and press delete from your keyboard. Or you can go to the stopwatch and click on it again to remove all of them. Now to reverse it, to get the logo from outside to the inside, hold your logo first and place it outside your composition. Then click on the stopwatch to create your first keyframe at this position. Move your time indicator a few seconds further and create the second keyframe. Hold your logo and place it at the desired final position. Now you see you've got the second keyframe. Now try your animation. Move the timeline indicator to the beginning and hit the spacebar. Or you can go to preview panel and hit play from there. Now you got your logo from outside to the inside. And as before, if you need to increase the time, just move the second keyframe further. And to decrease it, move it closer. Now it's faster. If you need to see more frames or seconds option in your timeline, just control it from the zoom in the bottom area here. We still have a lot to talk about here, like shortcuts, the keyframes, and the graph editor, but I will finish my options first. I'm gonna delete those keyframes. Just click on the stopwatch. Second option here is scale. Always remember, before you start your animation, check your time indicator first. I will place it here at the beginning. Same method to create your keyframes. Click on the stopwatch. Once you click on it, you can see your first keyframe here. Scale option is responsible for the size of your layer. Here the size is 100%. I will move the time indicator a second further. And I will try to scale the logo down to 0 to get it out of the screen. Just click on the value box here and put it down to 0 and hit enter from your keyboard. Once you hit enter, you will see your second keyframe. Also, you can't see your logo in the screen now, and that's because the logo at this point got a 0 scale. That means the logo will go from 100% to 0% in a second and a half. Again, if you want to reverse your animation, first, let's delete our keyframes. Click on the stopwatch and choose your first keyframe and put it this time to 0. Then move your time indicator a second and a half further and create your second keyframe. This time, put it on 100%, then hit enter from your keyboard. If you need to increase the time, move the keyframe further. And to decrease the time of the animation, move the keyframe closer. Let's try it faster. Let's try it slower. Now I will remove all those keyframes and set my time indicator to the start to try another option. Now rotation option. Click on the stopwatch to create your first keyframe. Move the time indicator a second further. Select your rotation tool and start to rotate your logo. I will rotate it 360 degrees. Place your time indicator at the beginning and hit the spacebar to see your animation. Increase your time or decrease it, same method as before. Again, I'm gonna delete those keyframes. And let's finish with the opacity. Just as previous options, click on the stopwatch, create your keyframe, make it 0. And after 3 seconds, the opacity will be 100%. Those are the animation options that we have in the transform option. I will remove those keyframes, and let's talk more about shortcuts and how to organize our keyframes. Now I don't have any keyframes in this layer yet. Now, do I have to have all the options open while I'm working only on one option? Let's say I'm gonna only work on the scale option. I created keyframes here now. Do I have to see the rest of the options in the screen? They don't have any keyframes, right? Now we have an important shortcut. Once you select your layer, press U from the keyboard. U shortcut here shows you the option which has keyframes and hides the rest of the options. This way you don't have to see lots of options that you are not using. If you are working on a large file, this shortcut will be very handy to you. Now if you want to close all animations or keyframes option in this layer, again press on U. So the letter U opens the options that have the keyframes. U again closes all the options. Let's talk more about shortcuts. The position option has shortcut P. Even if there is no keyframes yet, P will open the position option for you. To close it, press on P again or U as we mentioned. Scale option shortcut S. To close it, press S again or U. Rotation option and shortcut R. To close it, R again or U. Last option opacity and shortcut T. To close it, T again or U. Now if you have more keyframes in multiple layers, I will create an animation here in position. Here another keyframe. Now I will select all the active layers and press U. It will open every option in every layer that got a keyframe. Another U, it will close everything. You can select your layer one at a time while pressing on Ctrl, or with your mouse just click and drag over the layers. Now, can I create more than one animation for the same logo? Yes. Let's try one. Let's start with scale option. Press S from the keyboard to bring up the scale option. Click on the stopwatch to create your first keyframe. Give it a 0%. Move the time indicator a bit and give it a 100% value. Now try it. For you to set your time indicator exactly on the keyframe, from those arrows here you can move between your keyframes. So you can switch between them from here. So you don't have to do it manually. After a few frames, I want to start the rotation animation. However, I want the logo to stay still for a few frames. I will make another 100% keyframe of scale option here. To add the keyframe, click on this icon here. The logo will stay still between those two keyframes. Now we're done with the scale option. Press R to bring up the rotation option. Click on the stopwatch to create your first keyframe. Move the time indicator a second further. Get the rotation tool and start rotating your logo. Now place your time indicator at the beginning to see all your animations so far. Now we got your logo from 0 to 100%. Then stay still for a frame or two, then start the rotation. Now I need to stay perfectly still on the last keyframe to start more animation. Go to the right arrow here and click on it. Let's add an opacity. Press T to bring up the opacity option. Now the opacity is 100%. Click on the stopwatch to make your keyframe. I will leave it at 100%. Then a few frames further, press your time indicator and make it a 0%. Let's try the whole animation again. Now we've got multiple animation, scale, then rotation, then opacity. For me now to see all my keyframes and all my animation option, like we mentioned earlier, just select your layer and press on U from the keyboard. Now you see all your keyframes. However, you don't see the position option because we didn't actually use it. A very important step after creating your keyframes is to select it, right-click on it to see the keyframes options. And from the keyframe assistant here, choose Easy Ease or F9 to soften the move of your animation, so it doesn't look very harsh. You can also choose Easy Ease In to soften the beginning of the move, or Easy Ease Out to soften the end of it. Or most likely to choose Easy Ease to soften both of them together. Here I have more than a keyframe. Should I do this one at a time? No, you can select all of them with your mouse, right-click on one of them, and Easy Ease all of them. You notice here that all your keyframes look different. Now your animation would be a bit softer. You might won't notice this with the speed of animation, but it's better. Now let's add more realism effect on our animation. You see this motion blur icon right here? Just activate this icon on your layer, and at the same time activate the icon itself. This icon here will make your animation blurry with the speed to add more realism to it. You can see the edges are kinda soft and blurry. See here, it's more realistic. If you remove the motion blur icon, you can see the difference. It looks much better with it. Now a revision for a few seconds. How to delete your keyframes. Select them and hit delete, or click again on the stopwatch. From those arrows here, you can move between your keyframes with your time indicator. Scale option, shortcut S, rotation, shortcut R, opacity, shortcut T, also position, shortcut P, as well as letter U to open or close all the keyframes option. Now I want to control my animation speed even more. If you notice that our speed between any two keyframes is consistent, same speed from the beginning to the end. And that will be the use of our graph editor. If you went to the graph editor now, you will find it empty. That's because we need to select at least a keyframe. Graph editor works only with keyframes. Select a keyframe, then jump to the graph editor. This is the beginning and the end of the animation. I will select all the keyframes for the scale animation option and go to the graph editor. Once you click on it, it brings up those handles. I can hold and move those handles out a little bit. This curve that I made here slows down the animation at the end. Same way with the beginning. This way the animation starts slow, then faster in the middle, then slow down again at the end. You can check your animation even from inside the graph editor. Just press on the spacebar. Now I can do the same with the rotation option. You see the speed is consistent. Once you select your keyframes and go to the graph editor, you can see it as a straight line here because it's on the same speed. Now I can slow it down only at the start of the animation from here. Or you can do both, in and out. It adds a cooler look and kind of realism. I will do the same with the opacity option. Now after we finished our animation, motion blur, keyframes and graph editor, one more last thing left. You can increase or decrease the view of your timeline frames from the zoom option from here. I will zoom out all the way. I have my composition set previously on 30 seconds. However, as you see, I only used 4 seconds. So I have 26 seconds empty that I don't need. So from here, select the end of your timeline, Hold and drag it to the left to reduce the size of it. Release it right after your last keyframe. Then right click in here and choose Trim Compute Work Area. Now I fix my composition according to my animation. Now if you want to check your composition setting, you will see the new duration for your work. Now someone would ask, is that the whole animation we've got in After Effects? Is it only those 5 options: anchor point, position, scale, rotation, and opacity? The answer is no, big no. There is more animation once you convert your layer to 3D. From this cube icon right here, just activate the checkbox here. You will get an X, Y, and Z rotation option too. Those for vertical, horizontal, and depth option. Also, if you've got the shape tool and drew a rectangle, I can see I have the same options as before. However, if you click on add here and it shows trim path, you will get more animation options: start, end, and offset. As well as we can create animation with the camera layers. There is multiple ways for animation in After Effects. We just went through the basics today. In our next video, we'll do some exercises on different animations to use the keyframes. As you can see, keyframes are very essential in After Effects. And if you master those keyframes, you will master the animation. Multiple exercises with different animation in our next video. Also, we're gonna use audio for the first time. As well as we're gonna create a template for our work. Stay tuned and figure them all out in our next video. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye.